Young Marcus, a 12-year-old boy, was passionately in love with basketball. His mother always supported his dream of becoming an NBA player. "One day, I'll see you on TV, my son," she would say at every opportunity. But one morning, Marcus's life turned upside down in a devastating car accident. On their way to school, a speeding truck crashed into their car. When Marcus woke up in the hospital, he couldn't feel his legs. His mother sat beside his bed, her eyes filled with tears as she held his hands tightly. "Mom, what happened? Why can't I feel my legs?" he asked, his voice trembling. Unable to hold back her tears, his mother replied, "Sweetheart, the doctors, they said you won't be able to walk anymore." Marcus's eyes widened in disbelief, and in that moment, his dreams crumbled before him. As his mother's words sank in, Marcus felt as though the world had collapsed around him. Silent tears streamed down his face, soaking his pillow. "But Mom, basketball, my life," he whispered, his voice frail and almost inaudible. In that instant, he realized he had lost the greatest dream of his life. His mother, desperate to console him, held his hand tightly, though her own tears betrayed her strength. "Marcus," she said, her throat tight with emotion, "you are my hero. Even if we can't walk, we can't let go of our dreams, right?" But Marcus looked into his mother's tear-filled eyes and replied, "Mom, if heroes can't fly, who will believe in them?" His words pierced through the room's silence, amplifying the pain they both felt. Stroking his cheeks, his mother whispered, "You'll always be my hero, Marcus," while trying to hide her tears. But Marcus's gaze fell on the basketball resting by his bedside. "Mom," he said softly, "the ball is just a memory now. If I can't run with it, what's the point?" His words cast a shadow over any hope left in the room, leaving both mother and son submerged in a shared grief too heavy to bear. After the accident, Marcus tried to adapt to life in a wheelchair, but school was far from a safe haven. A group of classmates often mocked him, sneering, "You'll never make it to the NBA now." One day, they snatched his basketball from his hands and threw it to the ground, laughing cruelly. Marcus quietly wheeled himself away, but inside a storm of anger and frustration brewed. At home, his mother noticed how withdrawn he had become. One night, she found him in his room, staring at his basketball while tears streamed silently down his face. "Why me, God? Why did you take my dreams?" he whispered into the empty room. His mother, heartbroken by his pain, resolved to find a way to help her son rediscover his spark. One evening, at a local charity event, Marcus's mother found herself standing face to face with Samuel L. Jackson. Overwhelmed by her son's struggles, she began to share their story, her voice trembling with emotion. "My son used to dream of playing in the NBA," she said, tears streaming down her face. "But now he's just a shell of who he used to be. He doesn't smile anymore. He's lost his spark. I don't know how to bring it back." Her hands were tightly clasped together, as if holding on to the last threads of hope. Samuel listened intently, his expression softening with compassion. After a long pause, he said in a steady but kind voice, "I want to meet Marcus. This story isn't over yet. We need to show him that." The next day, Samuel arrived at Marcus's home. When Marcus saw the legendary actor standing at his door, his eyes widened in shock. For a brief moment, awe replaced his usual sadness, but that fleeting emotion quickly gave way to skepticism. Wheeling himself back slightly, he asked, "Why do you want to see me? I don't matter anymore. I'm just a burden. I have no story to inspire anyone." Kneeling to meet Marcus at eye level, Samuel looked directly into his eyes. "Marcus," he said, his voice calm but resolute, "there's still a warrior inside you. The greatest warriors prove themselves in the toughest battles. Being in a wheelchair doesn't make you less of a person. It makes your story even more powerful." For a brief moment, Marcus's face softened, but he quickly averted his gaze. "That's easy for you to say," he muttered, tears welling up. but every night when I go to bed, I'm reminded that my legs will never carry me again. Forget basketball. I can't even walk down the street." His voice cracked under the weight of his despair. Samuel paused, taking a deep breath. "I know, Marcus," he said gently. "I know because I've been there too. Years ago, my own dreams were shattered. No one expected anything from me, but I realized something. Life isn't about what it hands you. It's about how you face it. Basketball isn't gone from you, Marcus. It's still inside you, and we're going to get you back on the court. We'll do it together." Marcus listened intently, his tears spilling over as a flicker of hope crossed his face, but doubt still lingered. "What if I can't do it? What if I fail?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Samuel smiled warmly, placing a reassuring hand on Marcus's shoulder. "There's no such thing as failure, Marcus. There are only opportunities to learn. I've failed more times than I can count, but each time I got back up and tried again, and I'll be here to pick you up whenever you fall." In that moment, something stirred within Marcus. A tiny spark of hope ignited, buried deep within the darkness of his despair. It wasn't much, but it was enough to begin a journey toward healing. With Samuel by his side, Marcus's darkest nights would soon be illuminated by a guiding light. Samuel devised a plan to help Marcus regain his confidence and love for basketball. He decided to build a specially designed sports gym just for Marcus. Throughout the construction, Samuel frequently visited Marcus, engaging in long conversations filled with encouragement and hope. One day, he handed Marcus a basketball and said, "Take the first shot." Marcus hesitated for a moment, gripping the ball tightly. Finally, he wheeled himself into position and aimed for the hoop. As the ball soared through the air and swished through the net, Marcus's face lit up with a smile, a genuine, unguarded expression of joy for the first time in months. Seeing Marcus's determination grow day by day, Samuel was deeply moved. "Marcus," he said, "you're not just doing this for yourself. You're becoming a beacon of hope for so many others in your situation." Marcus's mother, witnessing her son's transformation, broke down in tears of gratitude. For the first time since the accident, she saw the light of possibility returning to her son's eyes. The sports gym, specially designed for Marcus, opened with a grand event attended by community members, friends, and supporters. Samuel invited Marcus to the court as the crowd erupted into applause. Marcus wheeled himself onto the court, his heart pounding but filled with determination. Taking the ball in his hands, he aimed for the basket and released his first shot. The ball sailed through the hoop, and the crowd erupted into cheers and applause. Samuel took the microphone, his voice steady but emotional. "Marcus has taught us all something invaluable," he said. "Barriers exist only in our minds. He's proven that anything is possible if we don't give up." Marcus's story didn't just inspire those in the room that day. It resonated across the world. Media outlets covered his journey, showcasing his resilience and the transformative impact of Samuel's mentorship. Moved by their shared experience, Samuel founded an organization dedicated to creating more accessible sports facilities for children with disabilities. As the event ended, Marcus turned to his mother and hugged her tightly. "Mom," he said, his voice filled with emotion, "I'm not just dreaming anymore. I'm living my dreams." His mother, tears streaming down her face, replied, "I always knew you would, my son." That day, Marcus and Samuel's bond became a symbol of hope for millions, reminding the world that with the right support, no dream is out of reach. If this heartfelt story touched your heart, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. Every like and subscription helps us share more inspiring stories and make a difference. Let's continue creating a world filled with hope and determination, one story at a time.